Attention. Go! Now, Sam Meijer and Matt Haywood are development rowers in the sculling team, the very strong men's sculling team GB Rowing have at the moment. Actually, the S.P.S out in Tokyo, so they've just flown back as well. They'll be sharp. They've trained together all season and the past few months on training camp, but then racing against some pretty stiff competition. Will Fletcher there, the bow seat. He's gone from being a lightweight in Rio in the men's double scull. He's gained some weight, done some training, some weight sessions, and he's up there. He's done a domestic season of racing as a heavyweight for the under, and they're sticking with them.
Yeah, great opening salvo from both crews here. It's great to see exceptional athletes, all four of them, competing in the Double Sculls Challenge Cup. Standard never drops at Henley, especially on the Friday. We can see the quality that's on show, and in the foreground here, Sam and Matt, under 23 world champions in the quad in 2019. They'll know each other well. They've been sculling together for 2, 3, 4 years now, and looking like a crew who know each other right. I mean, you can see the cohesion, you can see the way they scull, because you can see the two athletes, there's quite a big size difference between them in terms of height, so they're going to have to make sure that they have cohesion, that they understand how each other row, that they're able to adapt stroke lengths, they're able to adapt sprints, you know, the shorter and faster and longer bursts that rowing requires in different stages of the race. And you need that experience of rowing together to be able to actually choreograph that. And Sam and Matt looking like they've got this locked down, but like you say, Jess, Will and Jack, no mugs, and making that clear here, staying in touch very much with the heavier combination.
Oh, this is great racing, coming up towards the barrier. Both crews are overlapping. And, you know, Sam and Matt between them have got absolutely stacks of gold medals. They go home, they can't get through the door for them. Very, very successful junior and under 23 medalists between them, and taking that step up into the senior team. So they'll have benefited from that. But, you know, you've got against Will, who's a very talented oarsman, and Jack Burns. They're racing against competition that's, you know, they'll match them here, and they absolutely are doing that, and they're sticking with them. And through the middle of this course, I think both crews are sculling very nicely. It's a powerful boat, isn't it? You watch it at the Olympics, and they're very upright, these rowers. They don't almost get that huge swing through because they're done with the stroke. And I'm just getting some tips for later on, but just sitting up, letting it happen. I'm thinking of watching like the Sinkovic double or the French men's double. They don't really have a huge swing back, but they sit up tall and they punch their power from the start of their stroke through to when they pop their blade out. They don't try and get any extra.
Yeah, I suppose, like you say, Jess, that differs from the 8, where a lot of the emphasis is at that back end, where the people sit into the stroke and they really lean back and let the blade come out of the water and really accentuate the end of the rowing stroke. But yeah, in the double, there's a lot more upright. There's a more upright nature to it, and I think it's more about efficiency, more about driving the smaller boat through the water. You can just see there the blade depths of the crew, slightly different. Matt digging a little bit deeper on the left-hand side of our screen. The bowman in the Sam-Matt combination digging a little bit deeper than Sam in the stroke seat, which will be slightly more inefficient technique, but it seems to be working for the guys. They still look like they've got the lead over the Leander composite combination.
Yeah, people might have remembered the Olympic qualification regatta. Matt went in his single to try and qualify that last slot for Great Britain out in Tokyo. He came 9th, so just missing out on getting over to Tokyo. His ticket was not printed off, so he's here probably to, you know, finish off his season after training really hard up until the games, and they'll certainly be looking to try and win this event, won't they? But they've got some tough competition on the other side of the draw. Let me tell you, the Irish Olympic champions are here to race, and Sam Townsend and Charles Cousins are racing them, so it's absolutely stacked, this event at Double Scull.
Well, I was speaking to Fintan before the regatta, one of the members of that Olympic gold medal winning Irish combination, and he said that himself and Gary expected their sternest test to come from Sam and Matt. So let's see if that pays out to be true. They need to reach the final first, right, to be able to prove that that is the case. They're on the opposite side of the draw to the Irish, so won't meet them until the Sunday at the earliest in the fight for silverware. But you can see here, it looks like after the Leander crew, Will and Jack staying in touch in the early stages, Sam and Matt just stretched their lead, stretched their margin over the middle, sort of half of this race, or middle third of this race, and now have a boat length in clear water.
It's pretty good going though from Will and Jack there to stay in this race and stay in touch against guys that are doing full-time training programs. I think they're sculling very well behind them. They need to take something away from this. Can they stay in contention? Can they move their bows a tiny bit closer? Or have the Tideway Scullers and Nottingham combination sealed this already?
Yeah, I think if they can, they certainly will. It's just about whether or not they have the firepower, I think, to overhaul Sam and Matt. And I don't think there are many crews in the world who have the firepower to overhaul that combination, that dynamic duo that Sam and Matt are. And it'll be interesting to see, yeah, whether they can. But it looked to me like Sam and Matt really emphasising that this is their race now. I think they're really trying to drive away, turn on the turbochargers. You can see J.O.B.Y winding up as they come into the Suez enclosure. They're so smooth, aren't they? So dynamic. Looking like a really, really impressive and I suppose a future combination. One to watch, one to keep our eyes on.
Oh, it looks powerful. And yeah, as you mentioned, it's such a height discrepancy. Sam's quite short actually, but they must be rigged differently or have a slightly different stroke length to match that up, and it's paying off because this looks pretty silky.
Yeah, if there are any Westminster fans on the bank, it could be double delight. Westminster, of course, triumphant in the Princess Elizabeth Challenge Cup a few moments ago, and Sam, an alumni of Westminster School, that's where he learned his trade under the legendary Billy Mason, and now putting his talents, his prodigious talents, to good use in the GB setup. But if there are Westminster fans on the bank, or Westminster fans indeed, joining our coverage on YouTube, it's going to be a good start to the afternoon's racing for you, because Sam Meijer looks like he's going to come home here victorious in this heat of the Double Sculls Challenge Cup.
And another Tideway Scullers performance, as you mentioned earlier. They're a cracking regatta, and actually another talented athlete from Nottingham. So we're seeing lots of clubs represented here, taking down, some may say, the traditional, you know, big wigs, Leander. They're beating them here on their home water.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it, to see that Britannia Challenge Cup, the race preceding this one, between Scullers and Nottingham. Now we've got Scullers and Nottingham teaming up in the double, as you say, to take on Leander. But I think here's Sam and Matt just really emphasising. I think they're almost putting in their message. They're throwing down their hat and saying, look, this is our stand. This is what we're capable of. We're here to win. You know, we're not here to come second to the Irish. We're just winding down towards the finish. They're going to be a crew to watch, certainly.
Yeah, they kept it pretty punchy, didn't they, right up to those last few strokes. And it's a win there for Tideway Scullers, Nottingham Rowing Club.